Today marks 1682nd day of daily lessons, day reflections, and today I speak about risk taking. It's interesting because 2 days ago I was speaking about meaning, yesterday I was speaking about the life worthy of living, and I think that risk taking is such a beautiful topic because it really intertwines with meaning, with worthiness, with really pursuing something that matters. And today we'll share seven truths that we're able to reflect on risk taking. I think it's such a beautiful topic, risk taking, because if you want to really pursue vision, you want to become the person you've never been. And if you want to become the person you've never been, that means that you will need to do the things that you've never done. And if you never did the things that you want to do, that means you will need to take risks. And then at some point it could be scary, but it's necessary. It's necessary to really pursue that risk. Number one is the biggest risks rarely feel like risks when you are taking them. What it means is that a lot of times feels safe to do something, but it's actually the most risky thing. Regarding financial stability, people say, "Oh, I'm working a job, I'm getting my paycheck, and I feel safe." But sometimes I think that we need to really consider what are the consequences of me staying in the job longer. And it might be that this is the biggest risk ever that potentially could put and jeopardize your finances staying in that job. And to be honest, the thing that feels the most risky, quitting the job and really getting the better job or developing a skill set or starting a business, could seem much more risky. But in the long run, I think that's the least risky thing that you can actually do. Not recommend to every single person, but for some people, that could be the least risky thing for them. So that means that when we really look into safe actions we do, we need to sometimes ask what the consequence of that safe action, because that safe action could potentially lead to massive risks in the future as well. Number two, but it's not about just career; it's all about relationships as well, about physics, about your physique, all the things that we potentially feel safe might create some risks in the future. Number two, you don't get confidence first. You get confidence from surviving uncertainty. It's interesting, sometimes we fight all day long to really protect ourselves from uncertainty. It's such an interesting thing. We protect ourselves from uncertainty and trying to really cling to certainty as much as we can. But when we cling to certainty, what it means that we cling away ourselves from confidence, from courage, from bravery. Because when you act and survive uncertainty and really see, wow, I was extremely uncertain, but things turned out even better than I thought. Every single time when it happens, it builds confidence. Even though it might be that you really pursued something and you were very uncertain, but you failed, and you said, "Okay, I failed, but I'm still all together. I'm still okay," and that's knowing that you are okay, no matter if you succeeded, if you fail, and that uncertainty at that moment makes you better. And of course, you can choose to be better because of that, but we need to learn to say that, okay, something was missing and I didn't know something yet, but I remember to develop it, and that will build confidence. So that means that no matter what, if you failed, succeeded, if you learn from it, you build confidence, and that's extremely important regarding taking risks. Number three, most regrets come from inaction, not fail attempts. And it's a beautiful thing. So that's is really one of the biggest things regarding taking risks and massive risks is that the regrets come from inaction, not from failed attempts. So when you look into people who actually live life and 85, 90, 95, they always regret not doing something, not vice versa. Now, of course, it could be some actions, terrible actions that people did, and you could regret, but that the things that is just outside of moral norms. If you do something morally right, I mean, you're afraid of it, but you still do it because it's morally right. You will never regret it. You will never regret it. The only things that you regret is hoping that you will do one day, and then after 5 years, you realize that you're still hoping that you will take the risk. It's a big thing to carry that all the time. But I think that's again when you think about going through life without luggage, mental luggage, emotional luggage, and I think that hoping that you will take a risk is a luggage. And it's like, okay, maybe now, no, that's not ready, and delaying that hope all the time. And I think that we need to understand it. And sometimes I think that rationally we understand, but emotionally we're still not able to really take that risk. And I think that partly is that we don't develop self worth enough yet, self respect yet. And I think that's where sometimes we need to start. And when we're able to do that, we're able to really pursue failed attempts rather than pursue uh, um, security or stability. Number four, every meaningful identity requires period of looking foolish. And this is again where people stay in one identity much longer than they're supposed to be. Because current identity is praised, is accepted, it's validated, is admired. And now if you want to go to another identity, you will make a lot of mistakes. You will be embarrassed. You might be rejected. The people that was who were making those praises about you, now they will not praise you anymore. And sometimes it could be hard to really remove yourself out of praise, out of admiration, and put yourself in a position of embarrassment. That's a very weird place to be in. When you choose intentionally from praise to embarrassment. That's a task taking risks. But it's that embarrassment is so short lived. And then most importantly, that during that period of time when you're looking foolish, you need to have that self validation, self acceptance. Because without self acceptance, that's why people who stay in one identity on one frame so long is majority of the time is that they didn't learn how to self validate themselves yet. And they're always looking for external validation. And if they don't receive external validation, it means that something they're doing is wrong, even though that belief is wrong. And it's extremely important to understand that when we really transition and taking risks, we most likely will look foolish at some point of that journey. And that needs to be okay and accepted. Number five, there's no risk free path. There's no risk-free path. So that means that when you look into your whole life, all decisions will have risks. No matter what, staying in the path is massive risk. Choosing some paths, and I think that one thing is that sometimes when they overestimate or underestimate risks that someone will bring into their life. And that's why I think that when we really think about risks, I think that we need to really have a guiding board and really pursue a guiding board, advisors, mentors who could really give some normalization of our risk because sometimes we can think in our mind and then make that risk such a massive and then being afraid to really take that risk because in our mind it's such a huge risk even though that's not that big when you really speak with people who have already achieved what you want to achieve. And that's a great to have a mentor who really did what you want to do because they could really explain that the risks that you are thinking in your mind is smaller than you really think. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Number six, meaning is usually found at the edge of your current identity. It's an interesting thing that sometimes we're able to catch ourselves saying that, oh, I'm not that kind of person. And it's interesting because I was speaking with my friend and I always used to say that I'm that kind of person who really goes in a couple of coffee shops, loves it like from five coffee shops. I choose one that I really love and I go to that coffee shop over and over and over and over again. And I didn't know much of the coffee shops in the whole city. And I went to spend time with my friend and he knows every coffee shop. He had been in every coffee shop on earth, not on earth, but like still he had so many. And I said to him that I'm not that kind of person who goes to and explores different coffee shops as you do. And I catch myself. Like, do I want that story? Do I want to be that kind of person? Do I want to be that person who doesn't go and explore? Do maybe I want to change that. Maybe I want to be more adventurous in that thing. Of course, that is a very tiny thing that I mentioned. I'm not that kind of person who goes around and adventures into different coffee shops and it's just small detail doesn't do a big thing in life, but I think that we can translate into all other aspects of our lives. Where do we say ourselves or other people, I'm not that kind of person? And sometimes you need to ask yourself, do I like this story about myself? Do I like this version of me? Because if I don't like it, I'm able to change it. I'm able to influence it. I'm able to become different kind of person. If it was not adventurous, I'm able to become adventurous. If I'm not this kind of person, and again, when you say I'm not that kind of person, is when you look into and you compare your actions in the past. When you look into your actions in the past, you say, okay, this I was not that kind of person. I was not, but I will be when I will change my behavior. And like that's again regarding the I'm not that kind of person to start a business. I'm not that kind of person. If you never start a business, when you'll start a business, you will be that kind of person. We just need to stop telling that lie that this is not what kind of person you are. Number seven, last one is your future self will inherit consequences of your avoidance. So that means that when taking risks and avoidance is always walks very closely. When you take risk, you don't avoid. When you don't take risks, you avoid. You avoid taking risks. And every single time when you make a decision to avoid rather than taking risks, you will have consequences. Now, of course, if you take risks, you will have consequences, I guess, as well. But those consequences that coming from inaction is having multiple interests on that. That's what I mean by it. That most likely will come with much more regret, with much more compounding. When you take risks, that's a compound as well. Because the more take risks you take, the more you expand, the bigger things you're able to take on. And it's beautiful thing when I think about taking risks, it's so many things will be influenced. Your kids will have a better life, potentially. Your family, your generations to come, the community around you will become better because you're taking risks. Because not a lot of people are willing to take risks. So that means that when you're taking risks, you're able to look into your mirror and say that I'm one of those people who are willing to take the risks. Again, this is where you're able to use that. I'm that kind of person who's willing to take a risk, who's willing to put yourself in a position of embarrassment, of failure, of rejection, because most people are not willing to. But I am the person who's willing to go through this path to get where I want to go. And I think that's the beautiful thing when you really accept the identity of willingness. Because interesting thing, because I didn't mention that word for a long time, even though that willingness is one of my favorite words. Because when you're willing, you're able to achieve anything. The only thing that's willingness that's required. Because when you are willing, you're willing to develop courage. You're willing to develop uh, confidence. You're willing to develop skill sets necessary to achieve great things. Because you can have all the talent in the world, but if you're not willing to use it, if you're not willing to develop it, if you're not able to reap benefits out of it. But when you're willing, you might have very small talent, but because you're willing to work for it, you're able to achieve massive success. And that's where the taking risks as well beautiful lines, because when you're willing to take risks, you are reap the benefits of taking the risks. Not right away. It might be that the first, second, third time when you take risks, it might be that you will burn yourself a little bit, but you will develop thicker skin, and because of that, you will achieve success even more. So, hope you choose to win, and see you tomorrow.